I started off studying business, and I personally think that free enterprise and the profit motive and the indications and things of prices are incredibly important. But my work has moved more and more to things like free speech. It's also moved to identity and defending one's history, be it either a local or a national or a more continental. And why is this? It's because I see that there is a fundamental rejection of Western civilization in many institutions, in schools, in higher education, and also in big businesses, that businesses are finding it profitable, convenient to sell their products attached to this zeitgeist, which people refer to as wokery. So I think that's one. Two, I think there is troubling regarding the war in Ukraine and Russia, and also, and probably more challenging for countries like in Britain, for example, that the Israel-Gaza conflict and the impact that's having on population and communities in Britain, but also in Western Europe and Western civilization in America as well.
And are there any trends that you would point to in particular that make you pessimistic about the future of Europe and Western countries in general?
Well, I've written about this previously. I put for the British Conservative Party that essentially that they one cheer for them, and the one cheer was about jobs and employment, and the two, instead of three cheers, the two which wouldn't be, one was a decline in marriage. The idea of that if you are married and before having children was the norm. It's not anymore. It's a small minority of people doing that across Western nations. So the decline of marriage, I think, is something to be pessimistic about. And also about people having children. The decline, the fertility rate is going off a cliff. And this is even from 2010, we see a decline, and it's massively declined from the 60s, where having 3 children was perfectly normal, where now I have 3 children myself, but people think that's an oddity. So that those two, those fundamental underpinnings of society, marriage and children, are going in the wrong direction, and I'm very pessimistic about those.
And what would you say makes you optimistic for the future of Western countries and Western civilization in general, Europe?
There's people like new establishments coming up, like Gript. There's the Critic magazine. There's GB News in Britain. There is a groundswell, New Direction Academy. There is a groundswell of people that are understanding that there's an issue, there are problems, and wanting to turn it around. So that makes me very optimistic. But also that when we draw back from the big picture and we look at our own lives and we see our children grow up and we see them achieving things and we see them learning to read and write and we see them asking about their history and about be it their Western civilization broadly, or Christianity or Judaism or whatever it may be, that gives me hope. And then you see your next door neighbour do well and they get that job and they succeed. So when we come out of these broad trends and we can see people individually do well, that makes me incredibly optimistic.